when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis just hanging out by myself after the United States men's national team gets a narrow victory over Jamaica in Kingston. What other way could it have happened for the United States? Wouldn't we have preferred something a little bit more comfortable? Wouldn't we have liked something that was like, oh, wow, how great is this Mauricio Pochettino era? Like, how good is this going right now? We're on our way. 2026, here we come. And then what did we get? We got that. We got a goal from Ricardo Pepi. Now, if you had your bingo card or your checklist before the game started, every single one of us, every single U.S. men's national team fan had Ricardo Pepi goal on their card, on their list, on the things they wanted to see in this game. And still we get kind of this, damn it, like, why? Why like this? I want to see your comments. I want to see your takes in this. And I'm going to tell you something big. Your boy worked real hard over here. The bread and butter, the best soccer show for years. And I know Jared's not here. Shout out to Jared, who's still working late on Thursday nights. But the bread and butter of this show forever and ever and ever has been the calls. Now, I'm going to make sure that the besties can jump in here on video if you really want to. That is an option for those Patreon members who are supporting the show. Video is available for you, video calls tonight. But I got a phone line open for you. The number's right there. It's a new number, so if you have an old number for us, go ahead and change it. 315-872-2378. Call that number, and you can talk about the game tonight, because I want to see what people feel right now. I want to see what we got. First of all, shout out to Morgs. Got to give my girl Morgan some love here. Where is your drop, Morgan? I always got to play your drop for you. Oh, which one is it? I don't even know. There it is. Nope, there it is. Nope, can't get it to work. Oh, well. Maybe one day we will.
Morgan has done it!
I got too much stuff going on here. That's what this is. So we got Morgan. Shout out to Morgan. Shout out to Orius Tosh. Here's my man, Justin Friedberg. Hey, yo, the president, or are you not the president? You're the president? Are you going to be the president? Kyle, here we go. Good stuff from you. Pitch. Okay, the condition of the pitch was comical. What did you... I'm sorry, Mateo. I'm not picking on you. What did you expect? The office is a place where work happens in Jamaica. The Jamaican national team always makes it difficult because they put in the work. They do. That team works hard. They do what's necessary to make their opponents uncomfortable. But the office is not well appointed. Like, this is not a Fortune 500 office, right? We're talking about like you're going down and you're getting like carpet squares from Home Depot to throw down at the office. That's what they were playing on tonight there in Kingston. So the condition of the pitch is something we absolutely have to consider tonight. Let's go back to Orius. I feel great. Victory on the road, but my Union's Andre Blake only concedes one. And look, again, part of this story is that the United States men's national team how many times has this happened? Now, again, victory, right? A goal lead to take the second leg in St. Louis, which... Again, if you were checking, you're making your list of priorities, things you wanted to see. Ricardo Pepi scoring, but actually probably before that is some sort of score line that sets you up for the second leg. Now, at the basic level, like I'm talking about the basic. I'm not talking about like, our dream scenario. Our dream scenario is 3, 4, 5-0. And we can take that and we can feel great about it. Oh, Pochettino's got us on that track to 2026, and we're going to feel comfortable in St. Louis, and we don't got to worry about nothing. We don't have to worry about a damn thing because everything's set up. That would have been number one. Number two, maybe the Ricardo Pepi goal, right? Number three, then we're talking about some sort of victory, right? Some sort of takeaway that is positive. And I guess that's what that was. But again, it's an early goal and then a slow decline of our effort level, I guess. I guess that's what that is. Now I'm seeing something happening right here behind the scenes that nobody else can see. And I imagine this is because my man is on a voice situation. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. I don't think there's going to be any image there. Jared, can you hear me? Are you there?
Could be, but I'm not going to subject
I
everyone to
I
a
can't hear
shaky
Jared.
iPhone.
Maybe that's on my end. So I might have to fix something. Jared, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I think he's talking, and I think I'm not. I got an audio setting. I didn't expect to be sitting here taking. I did expect to take calls. I thought that was going to work. It did not. If you got the phone number, you can call me. I'm pretty sure that will work. So, okay, you guys hear Jared, and I don't hear Jared. All right, so this is some sort of routing situation on my end because it's going out through StreamYard, but it's not ending up in my eardrums here on the other side, here in my studio, which, yeah, you know what? Okay, I may have dropped my own audio. See, I'm trying to make things happen over here, and I may have screwed up my own audio. So there's my apologies on all of that. Nobody hears me now at all? Okay. I've screwed up all of the audio on this show. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2. All right. I'll keep talking until somebody. Okay, that is a setting on my board on my mixer. Okay, so I had tried something to see if it would work, and it did not. And now I'm recognizing that whatever I did to try to fix Jared's situation broke my other situation. And, we'll keep working on it, I guess. Maybe I'll figure out a way to get Jared back. But probably not. That's probably not going to happen. Again, if anybody wants to call that number, maybe one of you wants to test it for me. Because I worked really hard. I'm going to start sweating right now. Everybody ready to see me sweat? More thoughts about the game. Poach loves games on shitty turf and in bad weather conditions. He lives for it. It's like sex to him. I mean, he did grow up in Argentina. Like, I don't think that they're like known for great field conditions during the era that Mauricio Pochettino was coming up through Argentina. Like, I'm just saying that I don't think that was a thing back then. So perhaps what we take away from this is that it's going to be a slow process. Some of you want to break down like individual performances. Is that worth it? Is that something we should do? Should we be breaking down individual performances across this team in those conditions? Like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. And this is a problem that we have. That we cannot get a game that gives us a clear picture. This is imperfect information that we are collecting here from this match tonight in Kingston. Here's what I mean by that. It's away in CONCACAF. And away in CONCACAF, yeah, that's tough, right? Like, away in CONCACAF is always a difficult situation. Like, there are a few places in CONCACAF where the United States ever goes and is like, this is great, and we're gonna be able to handle this environment. The fans aren't too much, the field conditions are great, the weather is okay. That just doesn't happen, right? It's either altitude, or it's soggy weather, or it's hot weather, or it's bad field conditions. Like, there's no sort of, if you were setting up an experiment to see how good the U.S. men's national team is, you would control for all those things. But we can't do that. So what we get is a game like that, a game where Ricardo Pepi scores and we feel good about that situation. And then the rest of it kind of feels like, well, I don't know. Okay, Christian Pulisic, he never fails to put the effort in. Like, there's no doubt about the effort level from Pulisic. Sets up Pepi with the great ball. very quickly decided to make that pass. Like, absolutely necessary to make that pass in that moment. Okay, I'm going to try the phone line. Let's see if this works. Tested it earlier. I got a caller, 480. Who's this?
This is Alex from Scottsdale, Arizona.
All right, the phone works. I can't get the video people on, but I can hear Alex, and I'm hoping, Alex, everybody can hear you as well. What do you got? Tell me what you think.
Hey, Jason. I only caught the last 45 minutes of the game, the second half of the game. And the only thing that I really noticed was at the last 15 minutes of the game, we were high pressing Vasquez, Pulisic, Buzio. We were all pressing the Jamaicans on their 1/3 of the pitch. And I never have seen that playing away in CONCACAF. Maybe one game in Honduras, the mud game that we won a couple of years ago. But I noticed that big difference. And I'm for sure Pochettino had them play the high press at the end of the game. And I think that was the difference. And it wore down the Jamaican legs. They were much need of legs. They were just running out of energy. And I think that was a big difference that I saw in the second half of the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it would have been nice to have seen the United States press their attacking advantage. I mean, you press the ball to try to recover the ball, to try to score more goals. Like, I'm not saying that that's not part of what they were doing. Yeah. But at the same time, there wasn't you saw Vasquez. Vasquez did not cover himself in glory tonight, did not do much to help his stock, I don't think. Now, again, field conditions being what they were, he had a moment. Ricardo Pepi, by the way, was inches, like, he scored, and I'm not trying to take the goal away from him, but when he hit that, I thought it was going to miss. I thought he had missed. So maybe we give a pass on some level, but again, this is all we've got. This is all the information we have. I'm glad you're pointing this out, Alex. Maybe this is the difference in mentality, right? Because maybe that's what Pochettino is bringing. I don't love this idea that they never pressed in those ways again under Berhalter, because I don't think we'd have to go back and literally review every kind of similar situation to compare and contrast. But in this moment, when they needed to win the game, when they needed to finish out the game with a goal advantage, they did what was necessary. Now, again, if not for Matt Turner, first of all, he committed the foul that leads to the penalty, but obviously saves the penalty. If not for Matt Turner, this is a different game, right? This could be really, we could be complaining tonight about a lackluster performance and only a single goal if Jamaica gets it puts in the penalty, makes it 1-1, and takes another chance they have later on in the game. Like that's how close this was to a loss. Got anything else, Alex?
Oh no, you're absolutely correct. It wasn't for Matt Turner and that brilliant save. This would have been a different game. Looking at a 1-1 tie. Going back home in the States. So a great point.
Appreciate the call, Alex.
That's all I have, Jason.
Yeah, appreciate it. This is the imperfect nature of this moment in time. Pochettino takes over post Copa America failure. 10 windows to go before a World Cup on home soil with no qualifying, so no tense, pressurized situations that mean you'll either get to the World Cup or you won't. Right, nothing to test yourself against there. You have Nations League, which is still in this weird middle area. How much does it mean to the top nations? I think it matters to Jamaica, and I think it matters to some of these other countries in a way that say, let's go knock off a giant or knock off a CONCACAF power. But in terms of what it means for the United States, it's difficult to try to figure that out. And I mean that from just a subconscious level of commitment. And these guys have won every Nations League there's been to win in CONCACAF. And that's saying something. Like, I'm not trying to take that away from them. They've shown up when it mattered. But again, this is still, okay, what is it? And is it anywhere close to the same thing as a World Cup qualifier? Like, I feel like that's just not a thing you can compare it to. And so Pochettino, does he go all out to make this feel like it's a critical game and play it like it's a critical game? Or is he, in his mind, not in what he's trying to tell the players, because we know what the messaging was this week. The messaging from Pochettino, when he was talking about the dual national thing, but it kind of spilled over into this idea of like, what are you supposed to do when you get called up by your country? First of all, you accept the honor, Second of all, you go and you bust your ass. You play as hard as you friggin' can because that's how big of a moment it is for you in your career. He desperately wanted to play for Argentina. He wants players to be desperate to play for the United States, not the United States desperately looking for players. And I don't know, like, is that what we saw tonight? Like, pressing in late in the game with substitutes, you know, with players who came on and had energy, in most cases, a Busio, a Tillman. You know, is that the same thing as we really, really, really wanted to win this game, and we were so desperately working together to win this game? Like, that is that what we saw tonight? Yeah, by the way, mention Yunus Moose's goal line tackle here from Morgan. Holden saying that the fight was there. Robinson standing up for Pulisic. Yeah, that's a thing. You know, sure, late in the game, testiness. It's just, man, it is impossible for us to get a handle on this. This is almost exactly what I would have expected from a Berhalter team in a similar situation. Now, maybe the difference is seeing out the clean sheet. Because, you remember the qualifier, I don't know, what the year was that, 2021? The qualifier, when Antonio scored, I think on a pretty simple Route 1 long ball. You know, they didn't have him this time. Is that, you know, the difference of a couple of players being available? Now, obviously, the United States has injuries too, but those injuries are injuries we've kind of gotten adapted to with Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams, even Balogun and Sargent. I mean, nobody's like, oh my God, this is such a weaker U.S. team because we don't have Balogun, we don't have Sargent. Again, we were all sort of hyped up to see Ricardo Pepi take his opportunity. Really glad for the kid, by the way. Really glad that Ricardo Pepi stepped up in that moment, took that ball well in the bobbly surface, the terrible conditions that we were seeing them play under with that field. I'm glad he took that moment. I'm not sure. You tell me what else is worth taking away. Just in terms of looking at stats, Weston McKennie, he plays 72 minutes, 81% passing, whatever that means, 47 touches, a single touch in the opponent's box, in Jamaica's box, which, man, you know, that is probably not what you're looking for with him in that part of the field. But again, he's a midfielder, so how much are you asking him to get into the box and make those connections there? Tessman, some comments about Tessman's performance being pretty good overall. Obviously, when Cardoso leaves the game, changes the dynamic. Malik Tillman is not the same kind of player as Johnny Cardoso. Now, Johnny Cardoso is a defensive-minded midfielder. Malik Tillman is not that. I was actually surprised not to see Tillman in the lineup. But from the way that he set this up, with Cardoso and Tessman as the platform for that front four to do what they needed to do, it made sense. And then, of course, you have particularly Robinson playing as a forward option and a guy who's going to get up the field. Tim Ream, pretty decent. Of course, that's complicated too. Like, Tim Ream is starting for you in what is supposed to be a meaningful game on the road to a World Cup a year and a half from now. 9 windows. This is we're counting down. Number 10, this is number 9 for Pochettino. That means that after this window closes, after the game in St. Louis, he'll have 8. And will Tim Ream still be a first-choice player? The Tim Ream is, and Pochettino talked about Ream going into this window, going into these matches. Tim Ream is a veteran player. He appreciates his understanding of the game. He appreciates how Tim Ream helps him get the point across. Right? Get those messages, get the understanding of how Pochettino wants them to play. He's a coach on the field. Pochettino effectively said, Tim Ream is a coach on the field, which is a nice thing to have. But when your coach on the field is 37 and you don't expect to 30, whatever he'll be, 8, 39, well, I can't do the math in that. When did he turn 37? When does he turn 39? He'll be very close to 39 in 2026. If you're counting on that guy, that's not what we want. Now, I also find myself looking at this situation and going, man, you play the best team you got. Right? If there's principles that Pochettino brings to the table that are principles that he is adopting from his time playing for Argentina a little bit, certainly being an Argentine player who understood the importance of that, what it meant. Right, what it meant for him to be an Argentine international and to follow in the footsteps of some of the great players that they had had. Like if he's bringing that to the U.S. men's national team, then you think of this as a selection of players who are meant to go out and win the games that you have in front of you in that window. You don't think of it as a developmental opportunity. Like a developmental, this is a process, and we got to get Tim Ream is better than a 22-year-old. And by the way, I'm not sure I have an option. I'm not sure I can think of somebody. It's like, well, Walker Zimmerman, Reagan, Neil. I mean, I'm just saying. That's a good point from Juan, though. Ream at 39, still younger than Pep at the Euros at 40. Playing for Portugal. Oh, man. And Soccer Satan said it, too. Shout out to Soccer Satan. Blessing us with his presence. I don't know who you are, but it's a great name. Okay, so let's come back to this, because we got two messages about a 40-year-old playing at the Euros. Now, nobody's going to put Tim Ream on the same level as Pep or Pepe. They're not going to. Right? He's not. They're not in the same category of players in terms of how people will remember their careers. But if we're talking about relative to the U.S. men's national team, he is. He's that same player. Right? If Portugal, a nation that has a much deeper, richer history in this sport than the United States, is turning to a 40-year-old at a European championship, then who are we to say that we can't use a 39-year-old at a World Cup in the United States? Now, remember, he'll also have been playing in MLS the end of 2024, 2025, going into 2026. And I don't know, we switching the calendar? Is that a thing? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, with all the cold weather and all the question about switching the calendar in the United States, can we maybe put Tim Ream on ice? Anybody got one of those suspended animation freeze systems? My brain goes to Futurama because that's just me. But I mean, can we do that? If we can't do that, then this is the question. Right now you can't compare Pep's situation to Ream's situation. You can't compare Portugal to the United States. You shouldn't do any of those things. But I think what we have to do is trust that Mauricio Pochettino has an understanding of what will help this team be better. Like, are we trusting in Poch or not? Like, again, and is this more important right now to play the best team possible? Shout out to Mike. Play the best team possible. Is it more important to do that ahead of 2026 because it builds the winning culture? Like, if you play the best team possible, you give yourself a better chance to win. You don't sacrifice any positions on the altar of looking ahead the longer term, because that might hurt your ability to win games in the current moment. It might hurt your quality in the current moment. Again, if you are Pochettino and you are looking at your center backs and you think that Tim Ream is still better than anybody else available, well, then he has to play. I mean, he has to play. This is interesting. Or is Ream being 40th at the World Cup preposterous? Preposterous? Ream not the same player. Barely played in his 20s for the U.S. Majority of the caps after 32. Don't compare to Pep. I'm not comparing him to Pep. I'm comparing the situations. I'm comparing the situation of one national team who thought it best to bring a 40-year-old to the European Championships to another national team who doesn't have the same privilege, the same advantage, rather, of selection. Like, Portugal's got other center backs, and they brought Pep. And the United States doesn't really have other center backs, and maybe they have to bring Tim Ream. Now, I'll say this. If Jackson Reagan made a move to Europe in the next window, and between now or between the next window and the 2026 World Cup, he's playing in Europe, and I'm just going to throw out a possibility because let's just keep it in the realm of the real. Say Jackson Reagan is playing championship football in England, and he's playing 20, 25, 30 games a season. There's 46 games. Is it 46? I always forget the math. Yeah, it's 46. There's 46 games on the league calendar in the championship. If Jackson Reagan is playing half or more of those games as a starter, you might think, hey, he's better and a better option than a 39-year-old Tim Ream. Now, here's the problem. Pochettino didn't have any time to introduce Jackson Reagan to this team. Now, he can throw him in, again, thinking that I guess got to pick the best team for any window that I'm playing in. I just got to pick the best team. And I think Jackson Reagan, and I'm putting Jackson Reagan in the championship because I think it's much harder to justify at this point the idea of bringing somebody in from Major League Soccer who's had only in a Major League Soccer career. And this is not to say Major League Soccer players don't have a role in the national team. But if we're trying to usurp Tim Ream from his position, and I guess what you were really hoping is that somebody already in this group, somebody already in the roster, somebody like Austin Trusty, who came on late this evening. Who else? I mean, I've seen Cameron Carter-Vickers' name go by. Man, that's Cameron Carter-Vickers around here, but I don't know. I've never been impressed. Like I never see what I'm looking for from Cameron Carter-Vickers from CCV. Like I don't know. So okay. Here we go. Let's think about what Urias is giving us. I don't think Tim Ream is playing better for his club or nation than anyone else in the center back pool. Now again, he's back. He's in Major League Soccer. He's made the move. He's sort of been demoted by Fulham. Now, could Tim Ream have found a job playing in a different club in England? And I don't mean a Premier League club, but a different club in England, based on what he had done at Fulham at 39. I mean, 37. Sorry, I'm aging the dude. Thinking about 2 years from now. 37. Could he have found a job somewhere else in England? I think it's possible, right? But he clearly decided at this point in his career what was best for him as he gets ready to retire. And there's always a possibility the man's going to retire by the time we get to the World Cup. Like, it's very possible that happens. Like, I don't, he hasn't said I'm retiring before the World Cup. I mean, I think he probably doesn't even know yet. Otherwise, why would he be playing at this level? Why would he be accepting call-ups? I mean, because you could also put it in his category. You could put it in his court, right? Mauricio Pochettino picks up the phone, or he tells U.S. Soccer, "Hey, can you tell Tim Ream that he's part of this camp and he's going to be in my team for this window?" And Tim Ream picks up the phone or looks at the email and says, "You've been called up to the U.S. men's national team." You know what he could do if he wanted to? He could say, "No, I'm good, guys. I'm 37. I've had a good career. I rehabilitated my national team career," because it's been pointed out in the chat already. Tim Ream wasn't a player for the U.S. men's national team in his 20s. Not really. He got a look. He got a look when he was at the Red Bulls. He left. He got his move. He was kind of known as this slightly error-prone player with the ball at his feet. Like he kind of was this player that people didn't necessarily trust. I remember that. I remember not trusting the kid. He's slightly younger than me. I guess I can call him that. I don't remember trusting Tim Ream with the ball at his feet very much. And then he just got better and better and better and better. And obviously Bolton first and then Fulham. And by the time we get to the last 3, 4, 5 years, he becomes sort of this in established name. I mean, he impressed enough people playing in England, going up and down with Fulham, that people were saying, okay, this is a guy that has to be in the U.S. men's national team picture. Like, he's got to be our guy. Like I don't have his. I need to pull up his list of caps. I would love to look at his history because he didn't collect many caps until the last handful of years. And he was suddenly just like indispensable. Like suddenly just indispensable. And I don't know, like, is it our distinct belief he got that much better? Or was he a beneficiary of sort of good timing? Right? He comes into the national team picture again when needed. And it's just sort of like the right moment for that to happen. And then because he was decent enough, again, he just sort of gets this role. Now, I trust Pochettino thinks he's a good player, or I wouldn't start him. If Pochettino didn't think he was better than what he's got, the younger guys in the group, would he be starting Tim Ream? Because why wouldn't you bench that guy, the 37-year-old, and give minutes to somebody younger if you thought they were better? What if he's the best you've got, but you lose him to injury before the World Cup? What's the backup plan? Well, I mean, look, that's every position. It doesn't matter. Like, that's just a thing you have to deal with. You have to hope he stays healthy if he is the best you got. And maybe you think because he's 30 plus, 35 plus, and he's more injury prone, and that's probably true. I think that's probably true on some level. Although he's been relatively solid from a health perspective for a long time. I think he had some injuries last season, right? So is Tim Ream worth it? That is certainly something coming out of this, because again, he gets a start. Like, again, is he locked in? Thoughts on McKennie tonight? His role, the way he adapted to it, wasn't a part of the last window. Didn't get to see him under Pochettino. Again, this is one of those games where if you tried to judge the performance too closely, you are asking for trouble because of the conditions. Man, really wanted to see more Johnny Cardoso. Disappointed about the injuries. Disappointed that he had to come out as early as he did. I'm a fan of him as a concept. I'm a fan of him, obviously, with his career that he's taken now to Spain and Real Betis. But it has never really clicked. It's never come together for Johnny Cardoso with the U.S. men's national team. So one of the disappointing elements of tonight, not just that, we only won the game 1-0 and there wasn't a more sort of dominant performance, is the fact that you lost an opportunity to see a player like Johnny Cardoso get more time, get more of a run under a manager that we expect is going to give him a full opportunity to be part of this group. This is interesting. Why didn't we play over the top more with that field, more direct? Should have been a good opportunity to see Vasquez muscle people. Yeah, you can argue that as a plan B, Nate, I guess. But then again, if that's not who you're going to be, as a general rule, then maybe you just don't even bother with it. I do think that Pochettino's mindset is we don't play ourselves into those sort of 50-50 situations. That we're going to try to use the ball. We're not going to ticky-tacker the ball around the field. But we are going to, try to use the ball. We're going to try to get an opportunity here to dictate terms to the other side and not have to be responsive or not have to be. I mean, again, I don't know. This is an easy criticism because it happens all the time that the United States finds themselves in these difficult spots and then goes, oh man, this field is terrible, or this atmosphere is bad, or the weather is bad. It's pouring down rain. The humidity is terrible. And we just melt in that situation. I find it difficult to be overly upset about it because I keep thinking about those caveats. But I talked to somebody today on the radio, because you guys know I do radio too. I wasn't
WNBC. WNBC.
It wasn't Eric Rinaldi. It was actually Keith Costigan I talked today. And Keith was saying that he cared about the performance more than he cared about the result. Or that the result matters, of course it does, but he wanted to see this team look good, take the game to Jamaica, create the opportunities to put the game away. And I don't think that was there. Do you think that was there? So anybody have a real sense? By the way, the phone number is on the screen, 315-872-2378. If you notice that spells best. Why did I say best? Best. I had to get a new number. I got a new number for you guys. The video calls, adding you guys to the show is not going to work because I screwed up the audio back my way somehow. But if you want to call us up, want to call me up and talk about what you saw, happy to have a chat. We're of course all of the comments. Justin said he just found out I have a radio show. I don't know where you've been, Justin. I don't think that's presidential of you not to know what's going on in the world. This is a real legitimate question, though. What is a radio show? All right, so how it works is people talking to a microphone, but there are no cameras. Well, there are, but we don't broadcast the camera part. It's just what goes into the microphone. And it's usually more than one person. I used to do it by myself. Now I do it with somebody else. Okay, that's enough. You guys know what's going on there. Before Poch took over on this very show, I asked who would be Poch's Giassi Zardes, a la Jurgen's love for Zardes. MLS Guy gave him 19 caps in his debut year. I pray now that Ream is not Poch's Zardes. Those are not comparable situations. Those are not comparable situations. I don't think we could put Giassi Zardes in the same category as Tim Ream relative to their position group and what they meant to the team and all those other things. I don't think that's fair to Tim Ream. And Giassi Zardes had his moments. Obviously not the kind of player we really wanted in the team. And every coach does have their Giassi Zardes. I think Bob Bradley's was Johnny Bornstein, right? It was always Johnny Bornstein. All right. I wondered when we would get here, right? And I think I probably mentioned Berhalter just because you're telling the story of the team. You mentioned Berhalter. Kyle saying Pochettino has matched the number of away wins by Greg in CONCACAF. I mean, yeah, that. What does that mean? Like, I mean, yes, it does. He did do that. I just don't know if that's like a thing that matters right now. I mean, if you want to relitigate the Greg Berhalter experience, you are free to do that on your own time. You're free to go ahead and do that. All right, so the center back Chase, the Japanese-American player who's over there in Germany right now at in the Bundesliga, who is not in Japan's team for this window. If I'm remembering correctly, we've been watching this closely. I know that the Reddit threads are burning up over Chase. I know there are like 6 different Twitter accounts who are tracking his every single move. I don't know how close we are to getting him into our team. I know that there's been hints about a dual national coming in. I know some people have been claiming it. I think Koleosho was mentioned. Oh, he's definitely coming in. Some Twitter account somewhere, some X account. I'm sorry. I'm old like that. Some X account was saying that it's definitely going to be Koleosho. He's coming in. He's going to be part of this group. Obviously not part of this group. Part of the Italy U21 side. Is that right? For Koleosho? I mean, I like what Pochettino said about dual nationals, by the way. Like, can I just say that? Like, I liked what he said in the sense that it shouldn't be this let's throw a bunch of resources at trying to convince a player. This is not the NCAA. We're not recruiting. I mean, we shouldn't be recruiting. You can obviously do that. You can go out and try to convince somebody who's got more than one passport, hey, play for us. Because whatever, we got a great group of guys. Come on over and join our guys. They're all bros. They are a fun time. Like, you could do it that way. I think maybe that was Berhalter's approach. That it worked in the sense that he got some dual national commitments that reflected well on him as a recruiter, right? I mean, if only he was as good with his tactics If only he was as whatever, as good at other things as he was at recruiting dual nationals. Well, what a time we would have had. That's a mode. And you guys can tell me, right? Tell me right now whether you like the idea of a team full of dual nationals. Now, it's unfair to the ones that have been there and have done the work and who look good when they put on a U.S. uniform. And Jedi Robinson is number one, and Yunus Musa fits into that group. And, you can go down the list. Right? And it gets into this weird place, too, of like, oh, how American are they? If they're eligible, they're American, they can play, but how American are they? And does the culture difference matter? Or can you jam this all together? Can you put a bunch of different pieces from different places who all are American but come from different backgrounds? Can you put them all together and have it work? And this is, again, what Pochettino was saying about dual nationals, which reflects, what relates to every player who plays for the U.S. men's national team, but is also about this idea of, do you want to play for us? And obviously, look, Koleosho, born and raised in Connecticut, New York. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You can say, Koleosho is more American than, I don't know, a player who grew up in England or a player who grew up in Holland. More American in a cultural sense. Right? You can say that. I don't think it's a wrong thing to say. Like, culturally speaking, Yunus Musa doesn't have a lot in common with a player who grew up in the United States. Doesn't mean he can't play for the United States. Doesn't mean he shouldn't, or doesn't mean he's not willing to do whatever it takes to win games. That's a very dismissive attitude about the possibilities, and it's individual. And okay, look, so this is the flip side of the coin. Mauricio Pochettino says, I want players desperate to play for the United States. Just like I was desperate to play for Argentina. Like, that's what he wants. But the major difference here is that when you are old enough to know what a soccer ball is, and Papa starts kicking it with you in the backyard in Buenos Aires or Rosario or whatever, you are dreaming of putting on the blue and white stripes of Argentina. Like the second that you have that ball at your feet and you know what Argentina is and you see them on television, you are dreaming of playing. Or not even seeing them on television, I guess. Just hear them on the radio, whatever it is. Like, I think that is something that, I'm not going to say it separates us, but it's something we have to figure out. Right? That's the thing. We have to figure out what that means for how we build a team. I would rather have a team that takes on anybody who wants to play for the U.S. Again, my issue is not like, don't take dual nationals. That's not what I'm saying. Don't take dual, and it's not even, hey, don't maybe try to convince a dual national, like reach out here or there, just let them know you're interested in them coming in. Right? Again, I don't like the recruiting element of it because this is supposed to be, again, you want to represent your country. And if you're born somewhere else or you're born here and leave, you can represent your country in the sense you are American and you want to represent America 100%. 100% you can do that. And again, this is individual. Is Pochettino smart enough, or do you think there's anything tricky to the idea of trying to figure out whether a dual national really wants to play for the U.S.? Or whether a dual national needs to be chased without it being not a bad look necessarily, but without it sort of upending this idea that he has about playing for America. I don't know. It's just something to think about. As fans, though, what we shouldn't be doing is constantly imagining that some dual national is going to swoop in and save us. Like, we got a center back problem and Tim Ream is 37. Well, we're going to go get Henry Chase. And when we get him, he'll step right in and he'll be excellent and will be good for the next 15 years. Like that's not realistic thinking. Number one, we don't know if he's going to decide to play for the United States. Like so what I'm saying is we can't count on it. So it kind of makes no sense to me to even worry about him until he does decide to play for the U.S. And then it's like, okay, look at this. This is pretty cool. He's going to play for us. Let's see how he fits. And number two, we don't know how good a lot of these players are going to be that we get really hyped up about. That's the part. This is not about like, again, who's American, who's not. Like I'm not here to judge those things. Like I'm not here to say you're not American, you're American, you can play, you can't play based on something about your background or where you were born or whatever. Like that's not my place to say. I'm always more frustrated with the fact that we are a country that constantly thinks that dual nationals are going to be our salvation, or we overstate the value of that as a part of becoming a top-level football nation. Because if we want to win a World Cup, we can have some dual nationals. I mean, this is America. Tentacles have reached around the world. I don't know. Tentacles have reached around the world, if you're aware. And we're America. We're always going to have that thing. And people are coming here and leaving and all that stuff. Look, the world is very mobile. Lots of countries are dealing with this. Not dealing with this. Lots of countries are adjusting to this idea of sort of what their team looks like because people are migrating and moving and all those things. So it's not just America. It's not the United States. But I think it's pretty safe to say that in order to win a World Cup, in order to get to the top of the mountain, the thing we want the most, we're reaching up. We want to reach the summit. Like, the thing we need is a base of talent, a base of players, high-quality players, from the place that generates the most American players, and that's right here. Like, that's our academies and our leagues and our teams and our clubs and all these things. And now we're talking about player development in the United States of America instead of talking about this U.S. men's national team that just beat Jamaica 1-0. Maybe that says something about this. Raise your hand if you were excited about this game before it happened. Raise your hand, because I don't know that a lot of people were like, oh my God, I can't wait. USA Jamaica. USA Jamaica at the office in Kingston. I'm so hyped up. My whole day is aimed at this. I think when I told my wife that I was going to do a show, she was like, really? You do a live show? After what? Like, why? Well, first of all, because you are all lovely people. Also, because I got the phone lines to work, even though I've had one call. I can see a lot of you. I can see a lot of you are like reaching, you want to reach for the phone. I know phones are old school, and you can just send me a message. You can just type it in there. Don't be shy. It's fine. I see JTT is in here. JTT. Jonathan Taylor.
Is that JTT?
OMFPG-13, it's JTT!
Who?
JTT, Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald, who I think, because I don't love doing social media all the time, but I think that, maybe there's a new place for people to go and gather and talk about things without some intrusion of algorithms messing with what you see. And I know JTT's over there now. Saw him on the new thing people are doing. I don't know why I'm not saying it. I think he's been there a lot longer than me. Like, already racking up thousands of users over there, that JTT. Man, I'm going to have to chase him down at some point. I don't think that's going to happen. Like, if I get to 1,000, I'll be like, yep, that's it. Okay, I'm good. You can follow me, Davis, Jason, in that order. Davis, Jason. I did say today that I'm going to start giving away some of this stuff. I would love to be able to take the camera off right now and show you guys what this little space looks like. And because I think I'm going to give some stuff away. And if you want some random American soccer stuff, you should follow me over there, and then maybe you'll win something. I mean, who wouldn't want, I don't know, the badge, or sorry, the scarf of a dead soccer club like St. Louis Football Club? Like, who wouldn't want a San Antonio Scorpions scarf right there? Hey, who wouldn't want that's the Didier Drogba bobblehead. Well, that's the box. The bobblehead is a little bit further over there, but who wouldn't want that? I got books. I got a Sega Genesis World Cup 94 game back there. All of those things are things you can get your hands on because I'm going to get rid of so much of this stuff. So much of this stuff. Oh, yeah. One of our besties, David Herx, works for that club right there. Hartford Athletic. All right, the phone line. It looks like, indeed, we put the bat signal out, and JTT himself has called it. Jonathan, how are you? It's been a while.
I really was just calling in to say that I'm not that hard to chase down. As you know, I don't run very fast.
No, I meant that you are racking up the follows over there. Like I can see that you are on everybody's must-follow list. Because, hey, it's like there's like 5 guys in American soccer, 5 reporters that are must-follows on the men's side. I guess there's also a lot of women writers we should all be following too. So, but yeah, what do you make, Jonathan? Tell me what you made of that performance tonight.
What I make of the performance is that they won a game on the road.
Did they deserve to win a game on the road, Jonathan, based on how they play? Oh, it looks like I've lost him. Oh, it's over. I dropped Jonathan Tannenwald's call. That's not good. I was in the middle of having a nice chat with him. All right, there he goes. Anyway, phone line's at the bottom of the screen if anybody wants to call us up. I got a couple more minutes, so I'm going to be here. So you can go ahead and jump in if you'd like. Let's go. It looks like I got another one. 267, area code 267. Who's this?
Oh, somebody doesn't want me calling you for some reason.
Oh, okay. You're calling me back. Is this a different phone number? What do you have, like multiple phones in your pocket running around? You have a burner? Is this what this is? You're doing spy work on the side?
I have a landline because I'm an old git.
You have a landline? People are asking you what a radio show is. They definitely don't know what a landline is.
Technically, it's an UMA thing where it's like it's an internet version of a landline, but it's a backup for when my cell phone goes on the fritz.
Ah, I see. Well, okay. I'm glad that you had this phone to call us. You were saying they won a game in away game in CONCACAF, and that's it. And I asked you if you thought they deserved to win the game. Does it matter if they deserve to win it or not?
No, it doesn't matter.
Well, but that's not what the fan base cares about, Jonathan. It's not just about winning. It's sort of how you win because we need signals it's going to be better when we get to 2026.
I realize that, but I'd like to think they hired Mauricio Pochettino to win games and stop caring about the rest.
Do you think that, okay, so I don't know what's coming out, if Pochettino's already spoken to the media down there or what we might hear from him. But do you think that's going to be his attitude publicly?
To my knowledge, by the way, there are no American media in Kingston.
Oh, really? Well, that definitely says something about the excitement levels around this game, doesn't it?
I think it says a lot of things about... I could go on a long rant about that some other day on your show.
Oh, okay. Today's not the day for you to rant about the state of soccer media or whatever this is about overall?
I mean, if you'd like me to, I can, but I think we want to talk about the game. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's keep it on the game. So, again, do you imagine, and we've had only a handful of opportunities to hear Pochettino address the American soccer media. Do you imagine that when he does speak to the media via Zoom call or whatever, since nobody's in Kingston, that he says what was important was to win the game? Or does you imagine that he might have a more critical view publicly? I'm not talking about what he'll do privately, but publicly.
I don't know, because this was his first game in an official competition. I think he might say we'd like to be better, but we won the game. And Matt Crocker said he hired him to win games. I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right. Well, it just feels a little bit of a letdown. If the idea is we're going to back up a truck and dump a bunch of money in Mauricio Pochettino's lap, and hey, this huge coup for U.S. soccer to convince an accomplished club manager to take over the U.S. men's national team, and then what we get is, yes, an away win in CONCACAF, and as we have already heard from one of our people in the chat, it ties Greg Berhalter's record for away wins in CONCACAF during his tenure, so first chance Pochettino already has that number, but does that represent the kind of advancement that is sort of necessary. I mean, I guess all of this is kind of predicated on what you think the ceiling for this team is, Jonathan.
Look, I have grown a little bit sour on this crop of players in recent times. I think that Christian Pulisic is playing at a very high level. Obviously, I think that Yunus Musa is playing at a very high level at Milan. I think that Ricardo Pepi is playing very well and probably made the most important statement tonight by signaling, give me the damn ball, as the old saying goes from American sports.
Mm-hmm.
And he was given the ball and he put it in the net within 5 minutes. And it was a pretty nice goal off a patient buildup, so I like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, my main thing that I've been wanting to see in the bigger picture this whole time out of Pochettino is, can he get a crop of players who supposedly have a ton of talent and probably do, but were wildly underwhelming at the Copa America and showed quite clearly that they needed somebody to light a fire under them to get them to play with more intensity and more sort of, for lack of a better phrase, give a damn. And you were talking about, his message in the locker room of how much it means for those Argentine players to put the shirt on. That's the intensity that he wants from these players, and I'm glad that that is the message that he's putting out there.
All right, so right now we have to just console ourselves, we have to comfort ourselves with the idea that Mauricio Pochettino is sending a message, and that won't necessarily, especially in the beginning here, which I think is a reasonable take, it's not going to change fundamentally how impressive they look, especially away in Kingston on that field against Jamaica and CONCACAF.
With a lineup that played 2 6s, I would add, and no true 10, and give or take a right winger who was not Tim Weah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it great that they got outshot 12-6? No. But Pulisic was effectively playing the 10 on the goal sequence,
right?
Where he was positionally,
right.
Will things be different in St. Louis? We will see. He's going to be without Aiden Morris, who I think would have probably played well in this game. He may or may not have Brendan Aronson back. We'll find out. I remain underwhelmed by Malik Tillman.
Oh yes, that's
We
two
need
of
national
us.
team
That makes 2 of us, and a lot more, I imagine. Go ahead.
Yes. He plays very well against teams in the lower levels of the Dutch league, but not very well against teams in CONCACAF. They are not exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would say that it was unfortunate that Johnny Cardoso got injured and had to come off after 20 minutes. He has not played always all that well in a national team jersey, and that certainly disappoints me because I think he's a very good player who is playing at a high level in Europe.
Well, John,
I sort of figured all along that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's the thing, that if I'm hopeful for a significant jump under Pochettino, what I'm hoping is that the players who we think are pretty good players. I've been underwhelmed by Malik Tillman. Maybe his level is just not there because, as you said, he tends to be good for a team in a second-tier European league where they are often the better team talent-wise across the field, and that the context means that, maybe he's not being tested all that much in that environment. But there are players like Cardoso. There are other players in this team. I think at points Yunus Musa, although he's just now starting to get playing time at Milan, so that should boost him. But there are players where it's like, okay, you looked good in other environments. Why haven't you been as effective for the United States? And you could put that on the player in some cases, or you could say, well, maybe they have not been coached effectively to be better. And if anybody is going to do it, it should be somebody like Mauricio Pochettino. And maybe that's the difference here by the time we get to 26, is that Cardoso or Tillman or more players like that, Pepe even, will be playing at a much higher level than we've seen from them over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
I would hope you're right. I personally, when you ask, would you put it on the coach or the players? I think I will put some of it on the players, if you don't mind. And I've been trying to do that since the Copa America. And I would have fired Berhalter, absolutely. But I also walked out of that game in Kansas City thinking to myself that these players flat out did not deliver, and maybe it's about time we criticize them a little more.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that's wrong, but I think they
you and I have been around the block long enough to know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Finish that thought.
You and I have been around the block long enough to know that, by and large, the American soccer populace criticizes the coach and sanctifies the players. A little too much of both sometimes.
I would say that's probably fair. In fact, it's interesting that you say that in light of some of the conversation around the complacency that apparently had set in, or whatever Berhalter was being accused of. It was Berhalter, right? It was
exactly
Berhalter's responsibility that the players were complacent. That if it wasn't for Berhalter, the players would be better. Yeah, that's interesting. It does take agency away from the players. And instead of saying, why aren't you just showing up and giving everything you've got? And why aren't you putting in the shift? And why aren't you, doing everything that you can to help this team? Why aren't you living up to the example, which we could talk about whether that example is truly, the right thing to think about. The example of the forebears of this team, the U.S. men's national team players from the 90s and the 2000s who weren't given the kind of respect or opportunities in Europe that you got. And hey, why aren't you, yada, 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 right? I mean, it's all wrapped up in psychology.
Correct.
Jonathan, I appreciate it.
I think some of them do have the, again, for lack of a better phrase, the give a damn.
Uh-huh.
And I think Yunus Musa is one of those players.
Sure.
When you were talking earlier about the dual nationals thing, and when we talk about the examples of and this conversation, if people who are listening are new to all of this conversation has been going on since the 1990s. This conversation has been going on for the better part of 30 years. And Jason, will you or I tell the story of David Regi while we're here?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The idea of, is everybody committed? Who's committed more? Who? Yeah, that's all. It's all very, very interesting indeed. I mean, I think most of the fan base, John, would say do whatever it takes to get the best talent level in, because you can't win without talent. Like, you can coach them up, you can find players with a give a damn, as you described it, but if they top out at a talent level that is well behind the teams that are going to make a quarterfinal, semifinal, final of a World Cup, then that's not going to be good enough. So why not take a shot and find every method possible to bring in every talented player and then work with it from there? And I maybe the talent isn't here.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
Okay.
I'm inclined to agree with that because I generally think it is good for the U.S. to be recruiting in as diverse and multinational a country as we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, as I said a few times during the Berhalter era, the concept of recruiting players comes relatively naturally to us as a country because we do it all the time in college basketball and college football. But you do have to do it with a little bit of a light touch at times, and I think the light touch paid off in Musa, in Fuller and Balogun. I'll add Lily Johannes to the mix because she was a recruiting story on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. The player does have to want it, and if they do, it will come through eventually. And I think, again, as I said with Musa, it has. With Balogun, it has.
Yeah.
With Tillman, it may yet. I don't want to accuse Tillman, not knowing him personally, of anything that I shouldn't be accusing of. I just think that his talent level, he might play well. If the U.S. was to play a friendly against the European team, he might play very well in that. In a game of soccer where it will be completely different stylistically than
right. Yeah.
a CONCACAF game played on the same grass so that you can take the lumps in the field out of the equation. But stylistically, it's a different game. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah. Those things, But that's what the head coach has to do. He has to find a way to bridge those gaps, and we're going to find out if Pochettino's the right guy. Again, I'm positive that if you have the opportunity to hire Mauricio Pochettino to coach your national team, even with 10 windows and not that much time to get ready for a home World Cup, you do it. But I don't think that anybody should believe that this is some sort of magic fix that's going to turn this team into anything more than a team that needs a lot of luck when we get there to match 2002 and that, and to do it on home soil.
Nor, I would argue, nor should they expect Pochettino to be around the U.S. men's national team program for a very long time past 26.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that has not been discussed all that much, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the allure of the job is coaching the World Cup's host country, which has a lot of potential talent, and you can try to coach it up, and that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I do think that I think even within this roster, there were some guys who were called in who have the potential to give the incumbents genuine competition for their spots, and they need that. Because that's going to raise the level, and that's going to make them put the effort in.
Yeah.
I like to think.
Yeah. I think that's right. Okay, Jonathan, I am past my my allotted time here. I do appreciate it. It was great to hear from you. Thank you for not only calling, but after your cell phone dropped out, going to your landline, which I'm thrilled you still have, to call me up and talk about this game. I appreciate it, John.
It's my pleasure. It's been too long, and I don't know whether you're in Virginia or Puerto Rico at the moment, but I will be within earshot of your Virginia place on Saturday because I'm going to Washington Spirit versus Gotham FC.
Yes. I don't know that I'm going to make it out to the game with family obligations, but I will try to find a way. I don't know. Who knows? I ran in. I'm a Virginia guy. People know this, but I ran into the district today, and I was thinking, oh yeah, this is Tannenwald's town. That's where I am right now, Tannenwald's town.
For people who don't know, it is where I'm from.
That's right. John, thank you so much for calling me up. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Great to talk with you.
All right, there goes Jonathan Tannenwald. Yay, JTT called the show. I'm so thrilled. I am done. It is late. I think we squeezed just about as much as we can out of this U.S. men's national team victory over Jamaica. It's not the victory that matters. It's taking that goal advantage to St. Louis because, of course, this is an aggregate situation. And you got to find a way to outscore Jamaica over two legs if you want to advance to the semifinals. So, I'm glad they got that done. Thank you very much, guys. Like and subscribe to the Best Soccer Show channel. If you're watching this live on YouTube, please do that. I'll also let you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, I am doing a morning show with Rob Kerr, where it's called Morning Kick Around. It's got its own YouTube channel, so go check that out. Join in on that show as it happens if you've got a chance, and watch it back. All the topics get clipped up on the YouTube channel, Morning Kick Around. So please check out that. Here we go. There's a banner for you. Check out Morning Kick Around. Do that. Help me out. We're trying to get to, lots of followers. We're at 380, 3 something, and we want to get to 400 and then beyond that. And I'll be talking about this game tomorrow with Rob. We'll be talking about the U.S. men's national team and all the other stuff happening in the world of soccer in this international window. Okay, that's it. I got to go. I got to get some sleep. We're all tired. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
We are at DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1? Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Duh and or hello.
WNBC. WNBC. Oh, it's incredible.
It was there. Oh, here we go. Saucing them up. Hit him. What?
The horror show.
So viel respect for the Gegner. So viel respect for the Gegner.
Jay Rodius.